My mom and dad were products of the Depression. My father was in Patton's Army, came home from World War II, met my mother, who was a farm girl, a family of, she had 7 siblings. They met, started dating, and formed a bond that lasted 63 years. They actually knew each other for 65 years. It was a bond that ended up as me being their only son, and together we formed a unit. My father was an Army guy, so he believed that good things happen when you work together and you stayed in the unit. But during that time, my whole childhood and throughout my adult life, my parents were a very closed unit in that they had a few friends and family, but they rarely sought help or went to anyone for any assistance. Around 2010, that my mom became really sick, and the chemo wasn't really doing anything for her, and we decided at that time that we needed help. And it was a difficult decision for my mother and father because they didn't want strangers in their house. They didn't want anybody involved in their personal trials and tribulations at the time. They really didn't want hospice in, but when hospice came in, it became a life changer for both my mother and my father, because what they learned through the hospice program was that there were caring people and professional people who could help them, which they never realized their whole life. They never realized there were people that if they asked for help would come and help them. And this was something that really became such a great thing to watch in such a tragic time in our life, was to see my parents open themselves up to people they did not know, and to see the kind of caring that these people brought to my parents, and to see them accept it because it was something that they not only needed but came to enjoy. Subsequently, my mother passed away in February of 2011, and it was during that year of separation from my mother that my father got increasingly ill. And I tried the best I could to take care of him, but I found myself, quite honestly, overwhelmed by what I was asked to do for my dad. I wasn't prepared for it. And my father at one point looked at me. He had taken care of my mother for so long, even though he was so ill. And he looked at me, and I said to him, "Dad, I can't do this anymore." And he said, "Is that all you got?" And he looked at me with a funny smile, like, "I did it for your mom, but you can't do this for me." And I said, I'm just not equipped to do what you did for Mom. I said, "I just can't do it." And he said, "Well, you know, I think it's time for hospice." And in the last month of my dad's life, he agreed to have hospice come in again. And it was, again, so helpful to me as a caregiver to have someone coming in on a daily basis to bathe my father, and someone to look after his medications and so on. So I can't say enough about the hospice program. And I can only say that there was a time when my dad was very ill that I felt like I had no one to turn to, and hospice was there.